When I landed a high-paying executive job at my father-in-law's investment firm 5 years ago, I thought I had secured my dream future. My wife, Jessica, came from old money, and I grew up in a middle-class family constantly stressing over bills. Before our wedding, her wealthy father made me sign a strict, ironclad prenuptial agreement. It stated that if we ever divorced within the first 5 years for any reason, I would leave the marriage with absolutely zero financial settlement, no severance from the company, and not a single dollar of alimony. Instead of taking offense, I saw it as a straightforward business challenge. I decided I would play the role of the devoted, flawless son-in-law and loving husband until the exact 5-year mark passed. I memorized every financial report before board meetings, agreed with every opinion her father voiced, took my father-in-law golfing on freezing weekend mornings, and bought Jessica expensive surprise gifts whenever she felt lonely. I treated my entire marriage like an elaborate corporate evaluation where failure was simply not an option. 3 months before our 5th anniversary, the high-stress environment caught up with me, and I suffered a sudden panic attack that landed me in the hospital. While recovering in bed, I started having a severe crisis of conscience. Looking at Jessica sitting in the hospital chair, sleeping soundly with her hand holding mine, I realized something that completely terrified me. Over those 5 years of calculated behavior, I had actually fallen head over heels in love with my wife. The cold, ambitious plan I started with had disappeared, replaced by genuine affection, respect, and a deep fear of ever losing her. I was so consumed by guilt over how our relationship began that I made up my mind to tell her everything. On the night of our 5th anniversary, after driving home from a quiet dinner at our favorite seafood restaurant, I sat Jessica down in our living room. My hands were trembling, and my throat was dry as I confessed every detail of my original plan. I told her how I initially targeted her for her family's wealth, how I had calculated the 5-year prenuptial deadline, and how deeply ashamed I was for starting our life together on a foundation of pure manipulation. I lowered my head, completely prepared for her to hand me divorce papers on the spot and kick me out of the house. Jessica sat on the sofa in complete silence for a very long minute. Then she slowly leaned back, picked up her glass of wine, and took a small sip without showing a single trace of anger or tearful shock. She looked straight into my eyes and told me that she had known about my original scheme since the 2nd week we started dating. Her close friend worked at the law firm where I had inquired about prenuptial loophole strategies, and her friend had warned her about my intentions before I even proposed. I sat there stunned, completely unable to process what she was saying, as she explained that she decided to marry me anyway because she saw potential in me that went beyond my foolish ambition. She confessed that every difficult assignment her father gave me at the firm, every late-night business trip, and every challenging situation we faced over the past 5 years were carefully orchestrated tests designed by her and her father to see if I would crumble, cut corners, or show my true character under pressure. She smiled softly, reached across the table to hold my trembling hand, and told me that the man who stayed by her side through thick and thin over those 5 years was no longer the calculated stranger who walked into her life, but the husband she had grown to love deeply. If you found out your spouse originally married you for ulterior motives, but genuinely fell in love with you along the way, would you forgive them completely or end the marriage right there? Share your thoughts in the comments.